Hello. I'm Interweb Studios, and in this video we ask Reddit, what is the biggest mistake you have seen that has messed up someone's life? I thank you for clicking on this video, and if you enjoy the video don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your favorite type of pizza to brighten up the mood. With that out of the way, sit back and enjoy. My brother ran for public office without having an agenda. He had no leadership qualifications, background in position, or support from anyone in the community. He took out a $10,000 personal loan to finance his political run and held one fundraiser where most of the attendees were family and couldn't vote for him. He lost badly, coming in last behind 4 other candidates. It took him years to pay back the loan and refill his savings, which he completely drained to pay for signage and flyers. Saddest of all, the printer misspelled his name on both items, so any remnant is a harsh reminder of how badly things went. That's horrible, and I am so sorry for your family, but I can't help but think of Icetown costs Iceclown his town crown. No agenda, qualifications or background. His mistake was not running for US president. Vote for Jim. A guy in his mid-50s always worked under the table. Never filed a tax return. Didn't understand that he wouldn't qualify for Social Security. When I showed him the requirements on the ssa.gov website, I thought he was going to cry. This happened to a guy who lived down the street. My ex-husband finally qualified for disability and was rewarded the max since his work history stretched back to when he was 13 years old. This guy always worked under the table or for cash, and couldn't understand why he couldn't also apply for disability and expect the same monthly amount when he hurt his knee. Oh, the ranting and raving when he realized you only get back what you pay in, essentially. I heard about a pastor who filled out paperwork when he was ordained to be a contentious objector from Social Security, which apparently you can do when you are an ordained clergy person. Except he also didn't save anything for retirement. He was in his early 60s when he sat down with an accountant to talk about retirement. The accountant basically said, "Nope, you can't retire." My friend failed psych evals to join the army. Once he got around that exception, he was kicked out within a year. He robbed the corner store less than a mile from his house. He was in full SWAT gear with a tactical mask. Everyone knew exactly who it was. There were 8 calls to Crime Stoppers identifying him. He was arrested within 3 hours of the crime with the still loaded pistol in his car. If he had used a fake gun, or an unloaded pistol, he would have gotten half or quarter the prison sentence. He went from being in the army to prison in less than a month. Without going into too much detail, you need to be severely fucked up to fail the psych portion at MEPS. It's computerized, adaptive, and there are plenty of gimme questions. There's a reason he failed psych evals. Question 1 was, do you like to rob corner stores? Yes. Next question. This is easy. A buddy that lived with me for a while got a car he couldn't afford because he was obsessed with image. Stopped making payments, tried to part out the car and report as stolen since he had the bright idea that would bring more money than just giving it back to the bank. Then got into check fraud, which landed him in jail. Been in and out of the system ever since, from stories I hear. Reminded me of something similar without the fraud. My buddy had a decent car. His car got hit while parked outside. Insurance was going to give him a big payout. Got a rental car in the meantime. Parked it in the same place. Rental car gets hit and totaled. Didn't bother to get accident protection insurance on the rental. Now he owes a lot of money. He drives for delivery, so he needs a car. Gets his insurance check back for original car. Can't work until he has a new car. Buys a new car with most of the money. Can't pay rent because the whole time he couldn't work. Should have bought a cheaper car. Now is in major debt, possibly going to be evicted and or under legal pressure from the city for other bills, only just started working again. But hey, at least he has a shiny used BMW. Waste their entire inheritance on drugs. One girl I know inherited just under $100K. Her grandmother passed away. This girl has serious mental health issues and is a druggie. Blew all the money on drugs within 3 months. A friend of mine got roughly $200,000 after his mother died. He spent it not only on drugs but a lot of other bullshit. Fancy clothes which quite frankly looked ridiculous, like alligator skin sneakers, nice hotels for the weekend, etc. It was gone in about 6 months. I worked with a guy in his mid-50s who worked a ton of overtime because he was trying to retire early. He told me one day he had about $500,000 saved up, and he was about 6 months away from his goal. Unfortunately, he died suddenly of a stroke shortly after we spoke, and all his money went to his junkie adult son. His son was dead from an overdose within a month. Being passive and just letting everything happen to him. He wasn't sure if he wanted kids or not, but his girlfriend did, so they had sex without condoms. She got pregnant with twins. He looks absolutely miserable. Similar things happened to him involving housing. His family convinced him to put the parents' mortgage in his name. Things got messy. Don't just let things happen to you. This is completely underrated advice, and where a lot of people duck up. Nothing enrages me more than a defeatist. Well, what am I supposed to do about it? It is what it is. Like, I don't know literally anything? Yeah. Not making a decision often is a decision. Related to this, people who make choices and then act like they had nothing to do with it, when at every point they kept as involved in the drama as possible. My friend and I were hanging around one day. And he was talking about how his wife wanted to have a kid and if he didn't they should break up. He explained that he didn't want to and wasn't sure he loved her anymore. She was already controlling, stuff like making him FaceTime so prove who he was with. Me and my other friend told him he should just call it quits and not have the kid. He did anyway because of low self-worth and because he didn't want to shake up his life. Big surprise, it got worse and worse. For a while. Then about a year ago he finally got the gumption to try and divorce her. Of course it was met with more hostility. Long story short, he killed himself. I think back to the conversation we had all the time, wishing I could have convinced him it was a bad idea. But I know that's wishful thinking. Sorry for your loss. Don't be too hard on yourself, you have tried. It's his journey and his choice to make. Peace. My uncle got himself a mistress. Lent her $10,000 he never got back and lost his job defending her at work. Wife served him divorce papers short afterwards. He gave up his house to his wife. So he ended up jobless and homeless, sleeping on our couch at the ripe age of 60. Watched a friend make €1.2 million from a crypto coin off a €2,000 investment, and he held it all the way down to €50 over a month time while rage gambling the last $50K on a casino. He did however buy a baller gaming computer from it during the GPU crisis, so he still ended up in profit from this trade. Although he now has a severe gambling addiction and lost another plus or minus $50K trying to get it back this year. Some people just can't comprehend compound interest. Shit, at $500,000 he should have taken profit, then understood he could use a small portion of those profits to invest elsewhere. Friend worked hard to gain the credentials to advance his career to his goals. It took 4 months for him to get busted having an affair with a subordinate, and he lost all he worked for and ended up losing his license. Affairs are ducking stupid. If you're not happy, leave. Affairs at the workplace are really stupid. Don't shit where you eat. Affairs at the workplace with a subordinate are next level stupid. Even if you set aside the moral implications of abusing the power dynamic in an organization hierarchy, you are giving someone with their own goals and ambitions with completely unknown intentions the perfect material to blackmail you and potentially ruin your life. Example: Ned from Try Guys. Have a child with someone who fights them on their parenting style. Also cheated on my friend who was 8 months pregnant. They just got married too. My sister was like this. She met a guy, and married him 10 weeks later. He was such a piece of shit. After they got married he stole her medication, and would pass out drunk all the time. 9 months later, she popped out a baby with him. She couldn't rely on him for anything. He'd sleep through the baby crying at night, or ignore her when they were home alone. They took a break from each other about 6 months after the baby was born. He proceeded to steal. I say steal because he literally drove off with her without telling anyone in the middle of the night, my niece, and drive over 1,000 miles straight shot with her in the backseat crying the whole time. Where did he go? To meet a girl he met on Tinder. 6 months later they get divorced, but she tells me she's trying to have another kid with them because she wants her kids to have the same father. Your sister is a ducking idiot, I'm sorry. My brother was getting scouted by Northeastern colleges to play football after playing remarkably well in high school. He dropped out of high school 6 months before he graduated. Did something happen that made him drop out? I'm thinking maybe something traumatic? Nobody really knows. Anytime I poked around the question, he skirted it. We came from a pretty poor family and he really put his time in and out of practice to make it. So we could all make it. I'm sure there's a reason. Or at least a good one for a 17-year-old. I'm sure he regrets it now, but man, that was a bit of a misstep. Edit. Since I've had to explain the phrase, "we can make it," a few times already today, I'm just gonna put it here. The three of us, my older brother, my little sister, and I, suffered extensive abuse and neglect from our parents, their boyfriends, girlfriends, and their friends. My older brother thought he could get us out of our situation by doing what he could. Being the oldest, he felt as if he could do what our parents couldn't. At the very least, he wanted to give us what our parents couldn't. Even it's just clothes, food, etc. So at no point were we looking to profit off of him. We suffered and celebrated together. So this chance of his was more hope than wealth. So we could all make it. There's your answer if you ask me. That's way too much pressure for any high school kid. Just watched my cousin move out for the 5th time with no plan, nowhere to go, hanging out with manipulative people because they want her disability check. Cussed grandmother out when she tried to help and figure out what's going on. Got kicked out of one of the hardest community center to get placed in, so now she definitely doesn't have a home and has been sleeping in one of the most dangerous parks in town because drug addicts go there at night. Gonna try to talk to her tonight, but honestly I don't know what the duck I'm supposed to do. This has been continuous for months. My sister owned a home with her husband and first child. Her father-in-law convinced them that if they sold their house and became live-in caretakers for some old relative of his, that he would leave his supposedly nice house in Austin to them. They'd get to live rent-free at this house, it would be theirs outright when he dies, and they'd be set. So they sell their house, move to Austin where they don't have jobs, and move in with this guy. And it's absolute chaos. Guy is constantly watching porn on the living room TV with their toddler around, doing inappropriate old guy stuff, telling them what they can and cannot do in the house and when they can come and go. It's a freaking nightmare. They end up leaving the house and getting their own place. They also eventually moved to another state for a few years and came back. They've never been able to buy another house since housing prices have gone way up, and they didn't have enough equity on their other house that they sold. So they've been bouncing from shitty apartment to shitty apartment ever since. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment your favorite type of pizza. And until next time.